Picture this. It's payday. Your salary finally lands in your bank account, and for a few minutes, you feel rich. You check your balance and think, this month is going to be different. But somehow, 3 weeks later, you're staring at your account again, asking the exact same question you asked last month. Where did all my money go? You didn't buy anything outrageous. No luxury vacations, no designer clothes, no expensive gadgets, just groceries, a few meals out, coffee, subscriptions, and a handful of random purchases that didn't seem like a big deal at the time. Yet somehow your paycheck disappeared again. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. According to consumer spending research, one of the biggest reasons people struggle financially isn't necessarily low income. It's that they never give their money a clear job. My name is Jack, and a few months ago I realized I had absolutely no idea where my money was going. So I decided to try one of the most popular budgeting systems in the world, the 50-30-20 rule. And what happened surprised me. The problem with my old approach. Before trying this system, I wasn't doing anything terrible. I paid my bills on time. I wasn't drowning in debt. And I saved money occasionally. The problem was that everything felt random. Some months I'd save $500. Other months I'd save nothing. Sometimes I'd spend freely because I felt like I had plenty of money. Then I'd get stressed later when a bill showed up. There was no structure, just vibes. And that's exactly why I wanted to try something different. What is the 50-30-20 rule? If you've never heard of it, the rule is incredibly simple. You divide your after-tax income into 3 categories. 50% goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, and 20% goes to savings and investing. That's it. No complicated spreadsheets, no tracking every single penny, no budget with 47 different categories, just 3 buckets. For example, if you bring home $3,000 per month, $1,500 goes toward needs, $900 goes toward wants, and $600 goes toward savings and investing. Simple. At least that's what I thought. The first month was eye-opening. The first thing I did was calculate where my money had actually been going. And honestly, it was a little painful because I discovered something embarrassing. My needs weren't the problem. My rent was reasonable, my utility bills were normal, my transportation costs were fine. The real issue was my wants. And the scary part? Most of them didn't feel like wants. Coffee felt necessary. Takeout felt necessary. Streaming subscriptions felt necessary. Even random online purchases felt necessary. But when I added everything up, I realized hundreds of dollars were disappearing every month on things I barely remembered buying. And that's when I understood something important. Most spending doesn't happen because we're irresponsible. It happens because we're unconscious. The psychology behind why this worked. Here's what fascinated me. The 50-30-20 rule didn't magically give me more money. It simply made my spending visible. Behavioral psychologists often talk about how awareness changes behavior. The moment you measure something, you start paying attention to it. If you weigh yourself regularly, you become more aware of your eating habits. If you track your screen time, you become more aware of how often you pick up your phone. Money works the same way. Once I knew my wants budget was $900, every purchase suddenly had context. That $40 takeout order wasn't just $40 anymore. It was part of a limited bucket. And that changed everything. What happened to my spending? The strange thing is, I didn't feel restricted. In fact, I felt more relaxed. Because I finally knew what was safe to spend. Before, every purchase came with a little bit of guilt. Can I afford this? Should I buy this? Am I spending too much? Now the answer was obvious. If there was money left in the wants category, I could spend it. If there wasn't, I couldn't. No guessing, no stress. The rule removed decision fatigue, and that's a bigger benefit than most people realize. The biggest surprise. But the most surprising change wasn't spending less, it was saving more. Before using this system, saving was something I did only if there happened to be money left over at the end of the month. And as most people know, there's usually nothing left over. With the 50-30-20 rule, saving happened first. The 20% was assigned immediately, which meant saving and investing became automatic instead of optional. For the first time, I wasn't hoping I'd save money. I was planning to save money. And that small difference changed everything. Where the rule falls short. Now, to be fair, the 50-30-20 rule isn't perfect. If you live in an expensive city, your needs might be much higher than 50%. If you're aggressively paying off debt, you may want to save more than 20%. If you're just starting your career, your numbers may look completely different. The percentages aren't sacred. The principle is, the goal is simply to give every dollar a purpose. Because money without a plan tends to disappear. Would I recommend it? Absolutely, especially if you've never budgeted before. The beauty of the 50-30-20 rule is that it's simple enough to actually follow, and in personal finance, simple usually beats perfect. Most people don't need a more complicated system. They need a system they'll actually use. Final thoughts. After a few months of following the 50-30-20 rule, I noticed something interesting. I wasn't constantly wondering where my money went anymore. I already knew. Every dollar had a destination before I spent it. And that created something surprisingly rare when it comes to money. Peace of mind. So if you've been struggling to save, if your paycheck seems to disappear every month, or if you feel like you're working hard but making no financial progress, try the 50-30-20 rule. It's not magic. It won't make you rich overnight. But it might be the simplest financial system I've ever used that genuinely changed my behavior. And sometimes the simplest systems are the ones that work best.